Hello and welcome to the IP Nexus. I'm your host, Wazo, and this is the platform where we bring you real stories from real people navigating the fascinating and sometimes complex world of intellectual property. Our goal is simple: to highlight the human side of IP, sharing personal journeys, lessons, and insights from people at the heart of this ever-evolving field. Today is a very special day for me. This is our very first episode, and I couldn't be more excited about the incredible guest we have lined up for you. She is someone I deeply admire, not just for her immense expertise, but for the passion, determination, and relentless drive she brings to everything she does. Our guest today is a true trailblazer in the Ugandan IP landscape. She has, in her own way, contributed to shaping and influencing the Ugandan intellectual property sector in ways that are truly remarkable. As the managing partner at Terra Advocates, her contribution to the practice in IP law in Uganda is undeniable, and her impact on the field continues to inspire both seasoned professional and newcomers alike. Welcome M.s Damalie Tibugwisa to IP Nexus.
Thank you, Wazo. I'm so happy to be here.
M.s Damalie, let's get right to it, shall we? How did you first become interested in intellectual property?
I have more than an interest in intellectual property. For me, it's love and passion. Until now, I have never reflected on this question. I have never really tracked down my interest in intellectual property. But this is what I believe my journey to building interest in the subject to be. Like all children, I was curious and experimented with my environment. I vividly remember during playtime, we would try and play bride games, and we would crash red flowers and use them as lipstick and use soil for face powder. Then we would get petals of flowers and use them as the tiara. We improvised with canned beef and fish cans to use as saucepans for our cooking plays. I assume any girl with an interesting childhood in Uganda played similar games in some way with different variations. I believe that was my foundation for intellectual property love. Innovating with our minds to create whatever experience or product we wanted was the order of the day. Of course, as you grow, reality and rules set in and we start to conform. But somehow the inner child never dies. Even then, as a matter of necessity and reality, life makes it inevitable to innovate and find solutions. In all this, intellectual property is at play. However, putting the name to the subject happened when I was at law school, when I heard that we were to study intellectual property law. I was blown away through the study sessions, how daily we interface with intellectual property without giving it much thought and importance. Through learning, I then appreciated its value and I picked keen interest in the subject. I was fascinated by all the stories around how meaning and value can be added or diminished by the mere placement of different brands on the same product. I was interested in the fact that for taking time and expending effort, one can build a successful business on the premise of its intellectual property only. So my interest and curiosity carries on. Who knows, in my DIY experiments, what groundbreaking invention I might create. The interest and love will live on.
Oh wow, when you spoke about your childhood, I went back to my own childhood and now I want my childhood back. But let's move on. Is there a specific event or influence that inspired you to pursue a career in IP?
I have sort of answered this from your first question. But well, I think fate played a role. I know that my law class was among the first to have intellectual property as a subject of choice. The older generation of lawyers before me never had this option. So I was blessed to have been at law school the time I did. I wanted to be a commercial lawyer, which informed my course selections. Intellectual property law is a commercial law subject. Hence, it was an easy choice. The validation that I made the right decision came when I started taking the classes, and I was thankful and delighted that I had selected it as a course unit.
Did you have any mentors who guided you into the IP field? What did you learn from them?
Absolutely. Upon finishing law school, I joined Muwema and Mugawa Co-Advocates, which had a fully fledged intellectual property department and was doing more than registrations. It had an investigation and legal team offering all services related to the registration and enforcement of intellectual property, including market investigations, raids, advisory and consultancy services, etc. The partners and my peers in the department were very resourceful and embraced me. They were willing to teach me and give me exposure to different intellectual opportunities. As a result, I amassed a lot of interest and experience in the IP field. The registrars at the Uganda Registration Services Bureau, URSB, have equally been a source of guidance and mentorship. They have always been helpful and willing to teach and/or clarify anything arising from IP work at the Bureau. Through these interactions, they have been great guides and mentors. I have learnt several things from these mentors, including intellectual property is a fun, evolving, interesting and relevant subject with great career and life rewards. Secondly, it is important to stay humble enough to learn but also to teach and be patient with those who don't know. Thirdly, intellectual property as an area of legal practice requires passion and constant innovation to be rewarding and fulfilling.
I am very curious to know, Ms. Damalie, what challenges did you face when you first entered the IP field?
Ignorance of intellectual property remains the biggest challenge in the IP field. The creation, registration, and enforcement of intellectual property depends on the knowledge and appreciation of the relevant stakeholders in the value chain. For example, a patent application is quickly compromised by publication and use of the same before application. This is because the requirement of novelty is then compromised. However, due to ignorance, inventors crave and create public attention before securing their invention. Enforcement officers sometimes struggle to apprehend an infringer, even where the circumstances are clear, because for them, they don't see any problem with someone dealing in a product that has a brand similar to another, even if one is a counterfeit.
Your passion for IP is clearly evident, but what aspects of IP work excite you the most?
Geographical indications, unique patents, derivative works, well-known marks and traditional knowledge.
What keeps you motivated in the IP field despite the challenges you may face?
Love for the field motivates me the most. The other one is the progress being made in Uganda gives me hope of the great things ahead.
How do you stay updated and maintain your enthusiasm in such a dynamic field?
Keeping in company of those in the field, attending IP events, reading and watching IP-related content.
In your opinion, what role does creativity play in your work as an IP professional?
A big role. As a lawyer, it takes creativity to be able to put up persuasive arguments when representing clients. It takes creativity to keep a business afloat. It takes creativity to see the perspectives of creatives and then be able to support them well. It takes creativity to keep a great attitude at work.
What are the biggest achievements in your IP career so far?
Through Gazette Watch, I was able to support a multinational company to oppose a trademark registration not only in Uganda, but in several other African countries. When I notified the client, they checked at the registries of other countries and discovered that the applicant had filed in several other countries. I have also trained over 100 people on several intellectual property matters. One time, I discovered that a US firm had registered Matuki as its trademark. I wrote an article about it that went viral, and it gave prominence to the government and the public on why our intellectual property rights as a nation should be protected. I am also proud of the fact that through my court representation, I have contributed to the jurisprudence of Uganda through cases I have handled. I have worked with the Anti-Counterfeit Network and participated in the creation of content, both audio and video, on counterfeits to bring awareness to the issue and influence behaviour change, including the Don't Be Fake show on NTV. I have also written articles and made media appearances on the subject of IP, including being hosted on the IP Day by UBC to talk about IP at a national level. I have to also mention that during my career I have registered over 100 trademarks for different owners, hence helping them secure their intellectual property rights.
What impact do you hope to have in the IP field?
To be a thought leader, trainer, influencer and advocate for IP rights.
What changes or advancements would you like to see in the IP field?
I hope to see training and awareness of IP being done at a grassroots, household and primary school level upwards. I would also like to see the passing of the law on traditional knowledge. Additionally, I would like to see building of an IP-aware culture at a national level and keen attention and support offered to innovators.
You have been dropping gems throughout the episode. What advice would you give to someone just starting their career in IP?
Build knowledge and passion.
We are coming to the end of this episode, but before we do, I would like to ask you one last question. What is your vision for the future of IP in your specific area of expertise?
Offering high-level IP services, especially in public-private partnerships, and doing more cross-border related IP work while leveraging traditions and innovation. Another life dream and vision is to have an IP museum.
Wow, what an incredible conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed every minute of this exchange, and I hope you, our listeners, have too. Damalie, thank you so much for sharing your insights, your journey, and your passion with us today. It's been a true privilege to hear about the impact you're making and the powerful work you continue to do in the intellectual property landscape. You are truly an inspiration.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you for hosting me, Wazo.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode of IP Nexus. Make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear your feedback. Stay tuned for more real stories, from real people, right here at IP Nexus.